Welcome back to Fast Money. Well, we all know the SEC has been urging caution over cryptocurrencies, and it just did something to make sure that message hit home for investors. Bob Pisani is at the NYSE to tell us what it is and what it could mean for regulations on crypto down the line. And Bob, this is a pretty crazy story, I think.
I love the SEC. Yeah. They're getting kind of freaky here. The SEC really wants you to be aware about potential fraud around initial coin offerings, or ICOs, so much so that they have launched their own mock ICO site to show you what to look for. Now, this fake ICO site is called HowieCoin, and it looks like an actual offering site. You can click on it, and you can get a white paper which describes the coin and how they claim they're going to democratize travel and leisure for everyone in the crypto community. But if you click on the Buy Coins button, you get this page. It says, if you responded to an investment offer like this, you could have been scammed. HowieCoins are completely fake. And what it is, it's the SEC's website for individual investors. That's investors.gov. Now, they point out a number of red flags in the report commonly used by ICO scammers. HowieCoin, for example, makes claims of high guaranteed returns. This one claims over 1% daily returns, which the SEC says don't believe it. It also has a celebrity endorsement page from imaginary famous boxer, and that means nothing, of course, the SEC says. So, is it possible to get an ICO that is compliant with regulations? And that's the problem. It's not really clear right now. Republicans in Congress are working on a bill that would provide a safe harbor. This is a legal safety zone for at least some ICOs. But it's not clear how far that can advance this year, given the lack of time. And if the Democrats win the House in November, it's likely they'll be even more critical of ICOs than the Republicans have been. So this is a toss-up. Now, there's 2 points about all this. First, the SEC clearly views almost all ICOs as securities, and it wants them to register with the SEC. And second, the SEC views ICO fraud as a major threat to investors. Now, another major threat is security. Fed Governor Lael Brainerd got a lot of attention at the crypto conference, saying there were too many breaches of exchanges and wallet providers for digital currencies to ever gain broad adoption. That's a real serious swipe at the community to get their act together. Back to you, Melissa.
All right, Bob Pisani, thank you so much. I love the cheekiness of the SEC in launching this fake ICO. I think it's and they use a couple words: democratize, which appeals to the millennials, anti-establishment lovers of crypto, right? Who want to democratize, decentralize, etc., and democratize travel and leisure, experiential. So really going for that.
Surprised they didn't have a picture of a guy with a big beard and some skinny jeans on, and
like one of those tight gingham shirts,
like the ones Steve
or blonde Superman.
But Steve wears in the weekend. For more on this and future regulation, let's bring in Rand Neuner. He is the founder of On-Chain Capital, the host of CNBC Africa's Crypto Trader. Rand, great to have you back.
Nice to be here.
So obviously this was a major topic at Consensus. This is a major topic in the crypto world in general, and that is, how does the SEC, how does the CFTC sort of divvy up the world? And Ether got all the attention, I think, earlier this week, right, in terms of, is Ether a security or is Ether a commodity? Because that's going to make a big difference in terms of how it's traded.
Well, I think the initiative by the SEC was a great one, but I think the joke is on the SEC now, because they need to come out with regulation. If they don't come out with regulation, then they may stifle an entire industry. Now, I know they're balancing investor protection with the need to grow an industry, but if you look to places like Japan and Singapore, they've got thriving ICOs and they've got a thriving new industry. And my fear, having traveled extensively to that region and spoken to all the founders and the legislators there, is that the USA actually may be falling behind, and that we may not get a Silicon Valley here in the USA because it may all fall into the legislations that are favorable towards these ICOs and have got some kind of regulation in place.
But does the innovation have to come from where the ICOs are, or can there be the innovation without the ICOs?
Well, you can get the innovation without the ICOs, and that's what the US people are doing. They're establishing companies in places like Malta and Gibraltar and Singapore, and places where there's favorable tax incentives, and places where the regulation speaks well towards ICOs. But the US may get a brains drain towards those areas. If you go to Singapore and you go to Japan, you're speaking to Americans, and they're there because they want to launch their ICOs. So I think the SEC did adopt a responsible approach by taking their time to see what's happening with the industry. But now we know that crypto is real. We know that this thing, the blockchain and crypto, isn't going away anytime soon. And now they've got to come to the party and give us some kind of regulation so we know where we stand.
Okay, so we got you here. You've been an investor in crypto for many, many years. So we want to play a game with Ran.
What game are we
like
playing?
to play games with friends.
We're
Nice
games.
Play a game.
I'm worried. I'm worried. I'm worried.
Hodl or Fodl, and we're going to give you a few cryptocurrencies, and you're going to tell us if you would hold on to the crypto or if you would fold, sell it, Fodl. Got it?
You better
Got
win,
it.
too.
I got it.
Win the game.
All right, the first one here is Bitcoin. Hodl or Fodl?
I like Bitcoin a lot, but I'm going to Fodl.
Really?
I'm going to Fodl.
Wow.
And I'll tell you why. I'll justify that. I think Bitcoin at 8,200, I think the price is low. I think it's going to continue to go up, and I think it's going to continue to go up slowly and in a stable way. But there are more exciting cryptocurrencies out there. And if you're going to ask me whether I'm going to put my money into Bitcoin or something more exciting, I'm going to go with something more exciting.
So is part of that because there are Bitcoin futures now, because institutional money that is going into cryptocurrencies is going into Bitcoin, and that dampens the volatility?
A little bit of that, but a lot of the money is going from Bitcoin and even Ethereum and the more established coins into this ICO frenzy. There's this frenzy happening which is not on the markets, which is happening on the outside of the markets, where hundreds of millions of dollars are going into ICOs. Where's that money coming from? It's not coming from fiat. It's people cashing in their Bitcoin and their Ethereum. And when they cash in, the market's going to go down. That said, I do think the institutions are going to come in towards the end of this year, and they're going to come into Bitcoin and Ethereum first, and then the market is going to go up. So I am calling Bitcoin up, and I do love the technology, but there are better coins out there, so I'm foddling on that one.
All right, nice. Bitcoin Cash, Hodl or Fodl?
I know I'm going to get murdered on Twitter, but I'm going to hodl. I'm hodling. I think there's a lot of potential for Bitcoin Cash. I like the team behind it that are driving it. It's all the old Bitcoin people. And so my money, as much as it's going to hurt me on Twitter.
Why will it hurt you on Twitter?
Because there are the trolls and the Bitcoin maximalists.
Have you noticed when we had Roger Ver on how much hate tweets?
It's just curious to hear that a powerhouse like this gentleman is actually fearful of the noise.
But let me just say that I love both kids equally. I love Bitcoin and I love Bitcoin Cash, and I love them equally. But if you ask me where I'd put my money right now, Bitcoin Cash has got more potential.
Ethereum, Hodl or Fodl?
Hodl for sure.
For sure?
For sure. I'm holding Ethereum. They've got the biggest community in the industry, thousands of people, the smartest people in the room. They've got use cases. They're solving their scaling issues, their scalability issues. So I'm holding Ethereum.
And Ripple, Hodl or Fodl?
Ripple, I'm throwing in the garbage.
In the garbage? Yeah, you can't even say Fodl. You're saying in the garbage. We need a new animation.
Fodl.
Why in the garbage?
Because I've been researching the Ripple token, the XRP token, for a long time. Let me just make a differentiation. Ripple, the company, one of the best companies I know. XRP, the token, I still can't work out what it's used for.
Okay, wait. So, because a lot of people say you can't have the platform without the coin, and the coin is a statement as to how good the technology is. But you're saying that there's actually a difference.
So Ripple, the company, does the banking systems. It replaces SWIFT with bank-to-bank money transfers, primarily international money transfers. You don't need the XRP token to do that. So as far as I know, I can't find a use case for the token. So I'm out.
So nobody used it for anything?
Right now, absolutely not. And it's centralized. And that defeats the whole purpose of blockchain.
But is the utility of a token really what you're betting on? Because it seems to me this is just a speculative frenzy, and I'm not saying that that's negative. I don't mean to spin it negatively.
There are a few categories. There's one which is a store of value, which I look at as Bitcoin. Then you've got cryptocurrencies, Litecoin, Bitcoin Cash, maybe even Bitcoin.
For transactions.
For transactions. Then you've got utility tokens, and then you're going to get this new class called securities. Utility tokens, I have to buy them for the future utility, though I must say there's no real clear valuation model that we've seen works. But it is a new asset class, and we are taking a bet on it.
I'm going to give you a flyer question, a freebie here, which is not a Hodl or Fodl question. But when you take a look at the world, there are thousands, of coins out there. Which is the one that you are most excited about right now? Wow, it could be one that we mentioned. It could be one that's off the board, something that we have not mentioned.
So I'm excited for a new generation of protocols like Ethereum. And in that, there's a whole lot of protocols, Oasis, Zilliqa, Thunder token. These are all new blockchains which are coming up. Now, when you think about blockchain, you're thinking about decentralization, you're thinking about security, and you're thinking about scalability. Ethereum has scalability issues. They're doing 15 transactions per second, which means that's not real-world stuff. You can't bring it to the real world because it's 15 transactions per second. But some of the other blockchains are resolving this, and they're promising 10,000 transactions per second. EOS, Cardano, Oasis, Thunder, these are all tokens, Zilliqa, these are all tokens which are promising scalability, security, and decentralization. But they don't have the developer community that Ethereum has got.
Okay.
And that's why I said I'm going to hodl Ethereum, but I am placing some other bets on these new side chains.
Okay, Rand, great to see you. Thanks for coming by.
Just take a look at where we are right now. I think it's important to point out that we're trading at a nice premium to the underlying spot price here. 18,000 now.
It's not a good currency. It's not a good store of value. It's a medium of exchange.
Mockingbird, can't you see? Little girl's got a hold on me like glue. Baby, I'm howling for you. Yeah. Throw the ball to the stick, swing and miss and catcher's mid-strike too. Baby, I'm howling for you.
Assets and owes $174 million.
And it's gone.